Let's be honest. When Carlos King speaks, the whole reality TV world stops to listen. He's not just any producer. He's the man who built some of the most dramatic and unforgettable moments in reality television. His words carry weight because he doesn't just create shows, he shapes conversations that live far beyond the screen. But when Carlos admits something personal, that's when the ground really shakes. And this time, he didn't just drop a small comment. He turned the entire fandom upside down. For years, people who watch Love and Marriage, Huntsville have whispered about shady edits, hidden tension, and storylines that felt more like manipulation than reality. Fans suspected that producers were stirring the pot a little too much. But no one expected Carlos himself, the creator of the show, to come forward and say out loud that he does not like LaTisha and Marsau Scott. That's not just casual shade. That's real-life dislike from the man who controls the cameras, the edits, and the entire narrative. And here's the thing, it didn't come out of nowhere. If you've been watching since the beginning, you know something about the Scotts has always felt complicated. They've been at the center of drama again and again. From cheating rumors to therapy sessions gone wrong to shouting matches that ended in tears, Marsau and LaTisha's marriage has been reality TV gold. But fans always wondered, was it just coincidence that they were constantly painted as the troublemakers? Or was someone behind the curtain making sure the spotlight stayed on their lowest moments? Now that Carlos has admitted his feelings, those suspicions feel more than just possible. They feel confirmed. To understand why this revelation hit so hard, you have to look at who LaTisha and Marsau really are. LaTisha entered the show as a devoted wife, a mother, and a woman determined to grow her own business. She juggled children, marriage, and entrepreneurship, all while trying to stand tall in a cast full of big personalities. She was emotional, loyal to her family, and never afraid to defend her husband even when it wasn't the most popular choice. Marsau, on the other hand, came in with a very different energy. He believed in old-school gender roles and had no issue saying exactly how he felt about them. Sometimes that confidence came across as arrogance. Sometimes it rubbed people the wrong way. He wasn't the warmest man on camera, but he was unapologetic. Together, they became one of the most polarizing couples on the show. You either loved them or you couldn't stand them, there was no in between. And Carlos, being the producer he is, leaned hard into that. He knew polarizing couples keep fans glued to the screen. Over time, it became clear the Scotts were the lightning rod of Love and Marriage, Huntsville. Every time Marsau made a bold statement about women's roles, social media exploded. Every time LaTisha clashed with another cast member, that scene was replayed and dissected online hundreds of times. But something deeper was happening. Fans started to notice a pattern. Why were the Scotts always the ones at the center of controversy? Why did their struggles get more airtime than their successes? Why did it feel like they were being set up to lose, no matter what they did? This is where the Carlos King effect comes in. Carlos is known as the king of reality TV for a reason. He understands drama. He knows what triggers debates, what gets people talking, and what keeps ratings high. And the Scotts gave him plenty to work with. But producers are supposed to be invisible. They're not supposed to make their personal feelings obvious. So, when Carlos openly admitted that he doesn't like LaTisha and Marsau, it broke the unspoken rule. It ripped down the fourth wall and forced fans to look at the show differently. Because if the producer has a personal bias, can the storylines really be trusted? Was the drama ever natural, or was it carefully shaped to humiliate them? The wildest part is that some fans weren't even surprised. They had been pointing out small clues for years. The camera lingering too long on Marsau's smirk. The way LaTisha's breakdowns seemed edited for maximum embarrassment. The subtle digs that didn't feel accidental. To those fans, Carlos's confession wasn't shocking, it was simply confirmation. The breadcrumbs had been there all along, and now the truth was finally out. So why did Carlos finally admit it? The answer might be frustration. Reality TV isn't just about what happens on screen. Behind the camera, it's a constant tug of war between producers and cast. And if there's one thing about the Scotts, it's that they aren't afraid to push back. Word on set has always been that Marsau isn't easy to work with. He questions production choices. He challenges how he's portrayed. He refuses to let anyone make him the villain without a fight. And LaTisha? She's just as strong-willed. She'll go head-to-head with anyone she feels is disrespecting her family, even Carlos himself. Over time, that tension built up. Marsau complained about what he called lazy narratives about his marriage. LaTisha openly said she felt targeted and unappreciated. She even suggested in interviews that the show ignored her growth as a businesswoman and only highlighted her struggles. When cast members start challenging the person who holds the editing power, lines get drawn. Carlos is used to pulling the strings, but the Scotts refused to play puppets. They wanted more control, more respect, and more say in how their story was told. That kind of rebellion doesn't just create workplace tension, it feels personal. There's another layer to this story: influence. The longer the Scotts stayed on the show, the more their popularity grew. Their social media following exploded. Their businesses gained attention. Their personal brand stretched beyond Huntsville. And with influence comes power. Cast members began realizing they weren't replaceable. They were the show. And once you know your worth, you start demanding more money, more control, and more recognition. That kind of shift can rattle even the most experienced producer. Because once the cast stops playing along, the balance of power changes. And Carlos, who built his career on steering chaos, now had two people steering themselves. Carlos's confession didn't just stir the cast. It split the fandom. On one side, you had fans who felt completely validated. They had always believed the Scotts were being treated unfairly, and now they finally had proof. They pointed out how the show exaggerated Marsau's flaws and downplayed LaTisha's strengths. They felt the couple had been used as scapegoats to keep the drama alive. For them, Carlos's words weren't shocking. They were justice. But not everyone agreed. Another group of fans actually cheered Carlos on. They felt like LaTisha and Marsau had spent years dodging accountability and playing the victim. To them, Carlos wasn't biased, he was just telling the truth. Some even said it was refreshing to finally hear what many viewers were already thinking. Of course, the Scotts didn't stay quiet. Marsau responded with his usual sarcasm, tweeting, "Hate is a strong word, but if it gets you views, I get it." Classic Marsau, cool, dismissive, and shaded with humor. LaTisha, however, took a more emotional approach. On Instagram, she wrote a heartfelt post about being unfairly targeted, about carrying the weight of protecting her marriage in front of millions, and about refusing to let anyone tear down her family. Her words struck a chord. Fans and even fellow reality stars filled her comments with support. Other cast members chimed in too. Melody Holt, who's had her share of battles with the Scotts, posted a cryptic story, "When people finally tell the truth, all you gotta do is sip your tea." Kimmy, always the peacemaker, reminded people that producers are human too, everybody's got favorites. It's part of the game. But Maurice Scott threw shade back, tweeting, and quickly deleting, "Producers are supposed to produce, not perform." The reactions made one thing clear: Carlos's admission didn't just stir the fans. It shook the entire cast. That's the question now hanging in the air. Did Carlos cross a line by admitting his dislike? Producers hold massive influence. They decide which storylines live and which ones die. They decide whose tears are shown and whose victories are ignored. There's an unspoken rule that personal feelings shouldn't shape the final product. By admitting his bias, Carlos blurred that line. Critics argue this could even open the door to bigger issues. Could the Scotts claim they were treated unfairly under contract? Could this turn into legal battles? Could the credibility of the entire show collapse under the weight of one producer's honesty? And yet, some believe Carlos knew exactly what he was doing. After all, controversy sells. And right now, love and marriage, Huntsville is being talked about more than ever. Whether his words were a slip of the tongue or a strategic move, Carlos once again did what he does best: kept the drama alive. Carlos King's confession changed the way people see love and marriage, Huntsville. What was once dismissed as messy drama now feels like a carefully controlled game, influenced by personal feelings. Fans are questioning what's real and what's not. Cast members are drawing their battle lines. And the show itself has become bigger than just a reality series. It's become a conversation about fairness, power, and the blurred lines between entertainment and manipulation. And at the heart of it all? LaTisha and Marsau Scott. Love them or hate them, they are the couple who refuse to be silenced. And as long as they stay on the screen, the conversation isn't going anywhere.